If you're someone who does DIY projects often, you probably run into this situation. A once sharp chisel that's now dull and worn, struggling to cut through wood and leaving messy scratches behind. But don't throw it away just yet. With a little creativity and a few simple tools, we can bring this old chisel back to life, saving money while enjoying that deeply satisfying feeling of restoring something that seemed useless. That's the true spirit of DIY. Reuse, repair, and turn the old into something new. You can tell just how dull it's gotten when you try to test its sharpness on a sheet of paper. The edge simply slides across without leaving a single cut, as if you were using a blunt piece of metal instead of a sharp woodworking tool. It's a frustrating feeling, especially if you remember how easily it used to slice through wood with just a light push. That's a clear sign it's time to revive this chisel's edge. Now I'm going to show you how to make it sharp again. Before we start sharpening, the first step is to clean the surface of the chisel's blade. Over time, rust, dirt, and old residue can build up, making the metal rough and uneven. Squeeze some lemon juice over the baking soda. You'll notice it starts to fizz right away. That's a natural reaction between the acid in the lemon and the baking soda, helping to break down rust and oxidation on the metal surface. This simple combination of lemon and baking soda can make the blade look noticeably cleaner and brighter without using any harsh chemicals. After the reaction settles down, take a piece of sandpaper and start rubbing the surface of the chisel. Use steady, even strokes along the length of the blade to remove any remaining rust and smooth out rough spots. You'll see the dull, dark metal gradually turning into a cleaner, shinier surface. Focus especially on the cutting edge. That's where you want the sharpness to return. However, the surface still has a few fine scratches, so I'm going to use a piece of fine grit sandpaper to smooth it out. Gently rub the blade in one direction, keeping even pressure to avoid creating new marks. After sanding, the surface of the chisel starts to shine again. The dull, rusty look is replaced by a clean metallic gleam that catches the light beautifully. You can see tiny reflections running along the blade, showing that the surface is now smooth and free of corrosion. Next, prepare a caster wheel. This will be an important part of our sharpening setup. Now, fix the caster wheel's axle firmly in place using a mix of super glue and baking soda. This combination works like a quick-setting metal filler. The baking soda instantly reacts with the glue, creating a rock-solid bond that locks the axle tightly. Next, prepare a small wooden block, about 6 by 12 centimeters. Mark 4 points on the wooden block. one near each corner of the caster wheel's base. Use a pencil or marker to make the marks clearly. Next, drill the 4 holes at the points you just marked. Now, use 4 screws to secure the caster wheel firmly to the wooden block. Align the holes on the wheel's base with the holes you drilled earlier, then drive the screws in one by one. After the caster wheel is securely mounted, prepare another wooden block, about 5 by 7.5 centimeters in size. This smaller piece will serve as a support or guide for holding the chisel during sharpening. Next, drill 2 holes in the small wooden block. These holes will be used to attach or secure the block onto your sharpening setup. Now, use a set of wing nuts and bolts to secure the 2 wooden blocks together. Align the holes on the small block with the corresponding holes on the larger base. Insert the bolts through and fasten them tightly with the wing nuts. When the 2 wooden blocks are slightly separated, you can clamp the chisel blade between them. This holds the chisel firmly in place, preventing any movement while you sharpen it. You can also adjust the sharpening angle of the chisel against the wheel by changing how far the chisel extends between the 2 wooden blocks. The more the blade sticks out, the steeper the sharpening angle will be. Pulling it back slightly gives you a shallower angle. Now, tighten the nuts to lock the chisel blade firmly in place. Make sure both sides are tightened evenly so the blade stays centered and doesn't tilt. Next, gently roll the caster wheel back and forth while keeping the chisel pressed at a steady angle. As the wheel spins, it works like a grinding stone, gradually sharpening the edge of the chisel. Now prepare a set of sharpening stones, ranging from coarse to fine grit. Before using the sharpening stones, soak them in water for about 10 to 15 minutes. This allows the stones to absorb enough moisture, preventing them from clogging with metal particles during sharpening. Keeping the stones wet while you work also helps reduce friction and keeps the blade cool, giving you a smoother, cleaner sharpening process. start with the 400 grit stone, which is ideal for the first stage of sharpening. Place the chisel on the stone at a consistent angle. Keep steady pressure across the entire bevel to ensure even sharpening. You'll start to see a thin, bright line forming along the edge. That's the fresh metal being exposed. After a few passes on the 400 grit stone, you'll notice the surface of the bevel becoming smoother and more uniform. The old, darker metal starts to fade, replaced by a clean, silvery shine. That's a good sign the sharpening is working. The chisel begins to regain its shape and sharpness, feeling noticeably keener even at this early stage. Flip the chisel over and sharpen the backside of the blade. Lay it completely flat on the stone. This step is crucial for creating a perfectly straight, sharp edge. Now, switch to the 1000 grit stone for the next stage of sharpening. This medium grit helps refine the edge and remove the scratch marks left by the 400 grit stone. Keep the same sharpening angle and use smooth, steady strokes along the entire bevel. At this point, the chisel is already sharp enough for most woodworking tasks. But for a truly polished, razor-like edge, we'll move on to the finer stone next. Next, move on to the 2000 grit stone to give the chisel its final polish. This fine stone smooths out the microscopic scratches left by the previous grit and brings the edge to a mirror-like finish. Use light, consistent strokes, focusing on maintaining the correct angle and applying only gentle pressure. Finally, move to the 5000 grit stone, the finishing touch for a truly razor-sharp edge. This ultrafine stone polishes the blade to perfection, removing even the tiniest imperfections left behind by the 2000 grit stage. After finishing the sharpening process, you can immediately feel the difference when you gently touch the edge. The blade feels extremely fine, almost like it could catch on your skin with the slightest movement. It's a clear sign that the chisel has been perfectly honed and is now ready for precise, effortless cutting. To test the sharpness, try cutting into a lemon. As soon as the blade touches the skin, it slices through effortlessly. No need to press or saw back and forth. The chisel glides cleanly, leaving a smooth, glossy cut surface and showing just how finely honed the edge is. You can even feel the difference in control. The blade moves exactly where you want it, without resistance. Next, try cutting a sheet of paper to see how sharp the chisel really is. Hold the paper lightly and slide the edge of the chisel through it. This simple test perfectly shows the result of all your sharpening work. A flawless, razor-sharp edge that's as precise as a knife. With that final test, our sharpening process is complete. What once was a dull, worn-out chisel has now been fully restored, clean, polished, and razor sharp. It's incredibly satisfying to bring an old tool back to life using just a few simple materials and a bit of patience. This isn't just about saving money. It's about the joy of craftsmanship, of taking care of your tools and making them better with your own hands. That's the true essence of DIY. Restore, reuse, and create with purpose.